Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janna Balabha Girvadhari Jaya Gopi Janna Balabha Girivadhari Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radhamadhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radhamadhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shata Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shata Shishimad His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantara Shiman Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Shishi Guru and Shigoranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Summon Bonum, Chapter 63, Lord Krishna fights with Banasura, text 8 and 9. Text number A. 7? 7, 8, and 9. Okay, hold on. Asitsu tu mulanjudham Abdutan Romaharshanam Krishna Shankara Jorajam Pradumnya Guhajor Api Asitsu Tumulam Judham Abdutan Romaharshanam Krishna Shankara Jorajam Pradyumna Guhajor Api Asit Sutu Mulanjutham Aptutam Romaharshanam Krishna Shankara Jorajam Pradumnya Guhajor Api. Please chant. Karina, you want to try? Abdutam Romaharshanam Krishna Shankara Jorajam Pradumnya Guhajor Api. Asit, there occur Sutumulam, very tumultuous. It's quite something, no? Tumulam, Sutumulam, Sutumulam is very tumultuous, so it's almost very close to the English word. Judham, a fight. Abhutam, astonishing. Romaharshanam, causing bodily hair to stand on end. Krishna Shankara Yoho, between Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva. Rajam, O King Parikshit, Pradumnya Guhajoho, between Pradumnya and Kartikeya. Api, also. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. A most astonishing, tumultuous, and hair-raising battle then commenced, with Lord Krishna match against Lord Shankara and Pradumya against Kartikeya. Kumbanda Kupakarnabhyam Balena Saha Samyuga Sambasya Banaputrena Banena Sahasatyake. Translation, this is text number 8. Lord Balaram fought with Kumbandha and Kupukarna, Shamba with Bana's son, and Satyaki with Bana. In text number 9. Brahmadaya Suradisha Munaja Shidacharana Gandarbapsara Sojaksha Bimanair Darashtum Agamam. Translation. Brahma and the other ruling demigods, along with the Shidas, Charanas, and great sages, as well as Gandharvas, Apsaras, and Yakshas, all came in their celestial airplanes to watch. Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurube Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Ramapada Swami Iti Namine. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirveshesha Shunyavadi Pashatyade Shatarine. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So we have a bit of a confusion. We were expecting one senior devotee to come and give the class today, so that didn't happen. So I have absolutely no preparation for this, for this class. So bear with me. We're going to try to wince it out. So the hair rising battle will commence right now between the highlight match is between Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva. Sometimes you see in the material world there is these big fights that are being announced, between two great fighters, famous fighters, Muhammad Ali and whoever was the other one, George Foster or something, I can't remember his name. Big guys, heavyweight champs. They go to battle. And then it's a big, big, big event that thousands and thousands and thousands of people will come to see. And not only that, the whole world is also want to see this fight. I remember back in 70s, maybe Muhammad Ali with some big guy, I can't remember his name, but and they were fighting in Africa. It took place in somewhere in Africa, this huge fight. And people flew from all over the world just to see the fight because they were such the most famous fighters, boxers that were in the sport. And then I remember, we were in Venezuela, and we know from all over the world, everybody was watching in TV. So it was an event that was watched by millions of people. And, in between before the main event, which was the fight between these two great fighters, there was lesser fighters, so everybody was watching. So right here is a marquee type of fight, war. The fight between Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva. And along with that, there's, the other great fights, but the marquee event was Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva. And we hear that how Pradumna, the oldest son of Lord Krishna, was fighting with the oldest son of Lord Shankar, Lord Shiva, which was Kartikeya. Kartikeya is a very powerful demigod who is the general, the main commander of the armies of the demigods. It's Kartikeya. And then we hear that Lord Balaram is fighting with the main minister or the general of the army of Banasura, along with the two main generals. So Lord Balaram was taking care of those. Shamba, Krishna's second eldest son, was fighting against the son of Banasura. And Satyaki, which was one of the great generals of the Jadu army, was fighting with Banasura himself. Now, Satyaki, you remember, he is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita as one of the generals who also fought on the side of the Pandavas against the Kauravas and Duryodhana and the Kauravas. And Satyaki was one of the few survivors. You know, they only won a handful of survivors from the whole battle. The Pandavas himself, and Satyaki was one of them. So it's a very special, you know, member of the Jadu dynasty, very powerful. So he fought with Banasura himself. Over here, how all the demigods will come to watch the great battle. And this is this is something that we hear throughout the narrations of the Bhagavatam, how this is a general occurrence that when there is these huge battles, then the demigods are watching. And of course, they're watching in one sense because of the implication that these battles has in the functioning of the whole, cosmic order. So this is in general, as Krishna puts it, as part of his mission or the purposes by which he comes to the world is to make sure that the principles of religion are being upheld. So Krishna's external purpose to come to the world is to protect principles of religion. So when Krishna is involved in these great battles, is the implication is that there is a fight in general between religion and irreligion, or between goodness and evil, like that. So Krishna, so it's a very is something that has a great deal of implication, um, because the functioning, the proper functioning of the whole universe is depending on the population of the universe following the principles of religion. The principles of religion are nothing but the rules and regulations, the guidelines, the procedures, the laws that governs the universal structure. So in order to things to function properly, these things have to be followed. Dharma. So when there is a decline in the obedience of dharma, or there is neglect or even acting against the principles of dharma, then Krishna makes an arrangement to establish that. And in general, we see that that is a function of Krishna's avatars. All these manifestations of Krishna in the material world is to secure that. And it's something that happens quite, you know, in many times. It's explained that there's the appearance of Christians in this material world are like the waves in the ocean. They can be counted, they're unlimited. We hear in the Bhagavatam the narrations of just few of them, but they're actually unlimited. And it's explained that Krishna appears in all the different species of life. So these are constant things that happens in the cosmic manifestation, that Krishna comes regularly in different forms, different avatars, to secure the principles of religion. So it's a lot of things at stake, and there's always the anxiety, because this is the main thing that some of these great demigods are aware of, which is to witness Krishna's pastimes. So to witness this very special appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, personally to be there and witness the abdutam, the amazing activities of the Lord, is always something very special. And these demigods are Lord Brahma, uh, and the Siddhas and the Munis, they all have an awareness of this opportunity, and they take the opportunity to witness the activities of the Lord. So you come to watch. So they're there hovering in the air in their celestial vehicles, planes, the Bimanas, watching. So the fight, although is orchestrated by the Lord, is hair raising. Hair raising meaning like it's a real fight. I mean, when you have, it's not something that is act. We hear in the scriptures that Krishna appears in this world like an actor, and he perform all these wonderful pastimes and take all these wonderful characters and create all these wonderful dramas and circumstances around his pastimes that basically absorb you in the whole narrative. They're incredibly creative and engaging and very, very attractive. But the actual fact is that, you know, the activities are actually taking place. It's not an act, it's warfare. And both sides are there to win, and on the line is the possibilities of losing. So, you know, we heard yesterday in the class that Krishna Archana gave that Lord Shiva make a choice. He knew, Lord Shiva knew Krishna's desire, so he was in sync with Krishna's desire. Krishna, he um, he was going to get pleasure with his fighting. He actually wanted to fight. Krishna has this chivalrous, that's how you say, chivalrous, um, rasa. He likes to experience the the that, how you say, the thrill of a battle. In general, when you're in this situation that you're competing, there is all this rush that comes into your body that is explained as, it comes from this adrenaline rush that comes. And there's certain thing that, um, sport people, experience when competition is there, that, puts creates this height. Krishna likes that too. Krishna likes that. So he likes to compete, although he doesn't need to do any of that. And we also know, and he knows, that, he says in the Bhagavad Gita, no one is equal or greater than him. So no one is a match for him. He always wins. So you may say, so what's the thrill if you always win? But that's part of Krishna's marvelous activities and pastimes. That with his own potency, Krishna creates, he have this potency that is called Yoga Maya. Yoga Maya makes these all arrangements that sometimes even Krishna forgets his position as the supreme controller, and he even sometimes even gets bewildered by the circumstances. So he does experience the thrill, and that's part of his, enjoying the rasas. So, and when we say this word enjoying, Krishna is Rasa Rash, Rasa Raj. He's the king, the enjoyer of all rasas. So enjoying the rasas, and then some of these rasas are not supposed to be enjoyed. They're supposed to be suffered. The rasa of anger, you don't enjoy being angry. No one enjoys being angry. No one enjoys being lamenting and sad. But Krishna enjoys this. What is the meaning of this? Is that these are not material experiences. These are transcendental experiences. And as transcendental experience is only have one element that is there, is ananda, is bliss. So Krishna experienced great happiness. But it's not only Krishna that experienced the great happiness of this ananda in these activities, but also the devotees, and especially those devotees who are assisting Krishna in this rasa. So Lord Shiva could understand Lord Krishna's desire, and therefore Lord Shiva made the choice that he will fight. Krishna Archana yesterday was pointed out that he knew he chastised Banasura as a fool. He knew Banasura was disregarding him as, his superior. He was the spiritual master of Banasura. He was the one who gave him the blessings. He was the one who gave him his opulence, his strength. And here it comes this proud, arrogant, demoniac person, and disregard all that and challenge Lord Shiva to fight with him. So confident of his strength that he saw himself as superior to Lord Shiva. And even when Lord Shiva told him, you're a fool, actually, you will find someone who will completely destroy you, destroy all your pride. And he was so confident that he just welcomed that as great news. Because, oh, someone is going to fight me. And this sort of Lord Shiva saying that he's going to defeat me, but, no one can defeat me. So great, I will have a great fight, and I will be in my position as Ishwaraham Bogi. I am the supreme controller, the supreme everything. So that was Banasura. So Lord Shiva knew this fool who is, you know, Mudha. He have the mentality of a Mudha, Vajanantiman Mudha, the mentality of an ass. This fool is going to be utterly chastised by Krishna. But then he made the choice of fighting for this fellow. And he did that. The main purpose, yes, just as the class pointed out very nicely, that he maintained a duty because he made a promise. He made a promise, a commitment to protect the city of this Banasura. Was one of the boons that Banasura asked, and Lord Shiva agreed. So he have agreed to that. So he have a commitment that he uphold. But the main thing was he wanted to please Krishna. And he knew that Krishna wanted was um, he was orchestrating this whole pastime. And at the end, the conclusion of this pastime is that Krishna will be glorified. So Lord Shiva could understand. Therefore, he wanted to fight. But it's not that he's going to mock fight, and then boom, immediately being defeated. He put a fight that was hair-raising fight. I mean, so it's not fake. He fought. He fought to win, and that whole activity was done with the full focus and the full intent to give pleasure to Krishna, and with the desire that Krishna may be glorified and Krishna's supremacy may be completely established and glorified. Well, not established because Krishna's supremacy has been already established, but at least that it becomes highlighted in this pastime. Especially because there is this influential demon who is deriding Krishna. So for a devotee, that is something that is unacceptable and uh, have to be eliminated. So in general, when you have uh, elements that are deriding Krishna, then the devotees established, the great devotees of the Lord, representatives of the Lord, completely defeat that type of philosophies and presentations. So, and establish Krishna's supremacy. So, Lord Shiva's intent was like that. So, we're going to hear about this tremendous fight, uh, hair raising. So, it's quite exciting. And in the Bhagavatam, it doesn't go into a lot of details of these fights. But when we hear in the Mahabharata, it goes to a great deal of detail, of this weapon and that weapon, counteracting this way, counteracting that one, and like that. And sometimes it's explained, in great detail, the gory scenes like that. So it's a big, big, big thing. And we're going to see how Krishna at the end becomes victorious and everything is wonderful. It's Krishna's pastime. Like I said, I didn't have time for preparing for this, so um, Should I stop? Any comments or questions? It's very early. Let's see if we can churn some, pull it out. So in one sense, you can help me wing it this class.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much for your extempore. Uh, you mentioned that Lord Shiva knew that Krishna wanted this fight, and it's this principle that is highlighted that you know in this drama of life, I'm not the director, and everybody is not supposed to act as I want them to. Krishna is the director, and I'm like an actor. So whatever Krishna directs, I act in that way. So I thought it was a good lesson which Lord Shiva is showing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the difference in one sense, with these great personalities is that are in perfect sync with Krishna's desires. And they have access to understand that just by the purity. And in one sense, that's what we are in the process of clearing whatever obstacle is there for syncing with Krishna's desire. So, in the situation when, if we are in the situation that we're conditioned by material, by the material energy, then all these, what is called upadis, becomes layers and layers of obstacles that doesn't allow us to tune in into Krishna's direction from within the heart. So the solution that Krishna gave us is we connect to his representative, who becomes the via media for that. So then we can get that we can get that information, we can get that connection. So the role of the spiritual master then becomes, that becomes the via media by which we can sink into Krishna's desire. So it requires two things for that to take place: that the spiritual master is bona fide and the disciple is um, is faithful. Is he have faith, and is also very sincerely connected by that. So when those two things are in place, then this transcendental arrangement that actually you receive the instructions from the super soul. And if you have faith on that, is wonderful. Then even when you don't understand, you know, oh, the spiritual master may give you a particular direction, or instruction that not necessarily is what you're expecting. But even then, if you have faith and you follow, you find out that it was just perfect. And and it's part of reinforcing the faith. And that's part of the process that Krishna has given us, because in the process itself, you start to remove all the unwanted things. Because it's from the spiritual master. The spiritual master gives you this bhajana kriya. Remember, you have Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, then Bhajana Kriya. Bhajana Kriya is when you get initiated into bhajan by the spiritual master. And through that bhajan and what the spiritual master gives to you, which is, Srila Prabhupada explains in the Bhagavad Gita, the spiritual master will give you your swadharma. Swadharma, he divides into two, Prabhupada explains. Your duties according to your nature, and your duties according to your spiritual, that are your spiritual duties, which is your sadhana. So these two things are directed and they're consistently going through, especially with the part that have to do with your nature. You need a lot of guidance, so you to be in sync as you act, as you put it, as you go and act, you're in sync with what Krishna is directing from within the heart. So the spiritual master give us that. So that's our bhajana kriya, and when we receive, those instructions and follow them, then anartha nivritti. And anartha nivritti is what it starts to take all these obstacles that doesn't allow us to sync with Krishna's desire on our own. So when we become free from that, that's uttamadhikari, that's pure devotion. So then it's not that necessarily when you achieve pure devotional service, you can disregard your spiritual master, but um, that's an eternal connection that is there. So we see that, how Prabhupada always expressed and acted in full connection and dependence of his spiritual master, and so on, like that. Even, as the great acharya of this age, you still have that connection. Like that. So yeah, Lord Shiva is that type of personality. But you even hear Lord Shiva saying, "My master, my master." Like yesterday, what we hear from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that explain Lord Shiva's thought. He say, Lord Shiva thinking, this fool, my master, who is the one who takes who takes away how we say, the burdens of the world. He would, because this fellow was saying, these 1,000 arms that you gave me is actually a burden, because I don't find use for them, because I can find anyone. I don't find anyone to fight with. So he got this great material facility, and he's thinking, I'm gonna use it for fighting, and otherwise it's useless. I mean, he 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 used those 1,000 arms to please Lord Shiva by serving Lord Shiva, but that's not useful. He was playing music for Lord Shiva with all his 1,000 arms, but that's you know I want my 1,000 arms to make myself the most powerful being in the universe, and if I don't find anyone to show my powers, then this is a burden. So Lord Shiva, oh, it's a burden, but my master, who takes the burden away from everything, he will take that burden from you. So Lord Shiva is also, although he is fully capable of chastising this fellow, he always he always in connection with his master, Lord Krishna. And his master wanted, as part of his pastime, to chastise this fellow. And so Lord Shiva didn't act to chastise, but he made, he was part of that whole lila. He was in full sync. So hopefully one day we can also come to the position that we can be that connected to the Lord's desire and being acting accordingly to that. For now, we're depending, on the devotees, Krishna's representative, to actually help us do the right thing. Any other comment or questions? Krishna.
Well, even though you said, that you weren't prepared, it was a wonderful lecture because you really drew me into this pastime. So thank you.
Thank you, Murali.
And I was just thinking, about all the pastimes, the difficult pastimes of Krishna. And the amazing thing that fascinates me so much in this world that we live in, Krishna always allows the demons or the bad guys to run amok, and he gives them just so much time. And when the time comes when they really overstep their bounds, when Krishna decides, okay, that's enough, he always comes in and smashes them. And they think they're so high and mighty. They think they're just getting away with murder, trampling on the small people, taking advantage of everybody at every turn, filling their coffers with more and more money and crushing the little guy. And Krishna says, okay, that's enough. And he smashes them. And I've seen that so many times in, in daily life. The bad guys think they can get away with it. So many incidences, like even President Nixon, for instance, Oh, they were taking over. They were running the country the way they wanted to run it and were hurting people. And they were thinking they would get away with anything, anything. And Krishna says, okay, uh, I'm going to put this little um, blockage on that door, you know, and that's the beginning of your end. You can only go so far. And that's with everything. The Battle of Kurukshetra, the Kauravas, they just thought they were high and mighty too. And Krishna knew all along that they're going to lose. The battle is already won, and crushed them all. So even I think it was George Foreman and Muhammad Ali, when they were, everybody, the whole world was looking and listening. Krishna already knew what the outcome was going to be, but he made it so exciting and crushed the bad guy. He already knew who the winner was going to be. So I always find that fascinating that evil is allowed to run amok only so far. And when Krishna says that's enough, um, he sets everything straight again. We've had incidences. I remember, let me see how I say this. Someone was going to build an extension right across our windows, block out all that beautiful sunshine and greenery. And everybody was so upset. And this guy was powerful. And yet, knowing how Krishna is, I said, well, this man has gone up and crushed so many other people because he had the wealth and the power to do so. And when he went up against Krishna, his temple, his people, we knew in our hearts from the get-go, this man is not going to succeed, because he might have gone up against all the big, powerful politicians and etc. But when you go up against Krishna, there's no way Krishna's going to allow him to succeed. So that's what I get from all these lessons. Evil is allowed to only go so far. But when Krishna's devotees and what's right, what's truly right, it all comes to an end and things go back
Hmm.
to good. It's like somebody said, good will always conquer evil.
Yeah.
And I'm beginning to believe that in all circumstances, that's true because it's the history of the human experience. And Krishna has always been there to set things straight. Evil will never conquer good. It will never. I think that's Krishna's legacy or what? He put that in us. And as long as we hold to Krishna, evil can just evil just can't succeed.
Hmm.
Just in all these leelas, if we're not in touch with Krishna, we're running back and forth. Oh, can we win? Oh, look. Oh, we're in danger, danger, danger. But if you understand Krishna's leelas, he's always saying that good will always conquer evil. So you don't have to get freaked out. Just rely on Krishna, and Krishna will set it straight. That's how it is. But if you don't have Krishna, you have no idea which way it's going to go.
Yes. Yes. Lord Brahma's famous prayers that the devotees always um, would tolerate circumstances, understanding that Krishna's mercy is there. Um, in one sense, we have to have that faith that even in the situations in which you can see that uh, evil appears to be overpowering circumstances, we still have faith. We still have faith that it's Krishna's arrangement, and it's Krishna's arrangement for a particular type of uh, area that we need to become aware and that we need to strengthen. So Lord Brahma said that you simply go through what you have to go through, understanding as Krishna's arrangement, and you engage yourself in the activities with full mind, words, and actions in the activities of hearing and chanting and glorifying the Supreme Lord. We just absorb ourselves into that, and the circumstances can be this or can be that. Sometimes we see that externally may appear, I'm thinking of some of the temples that were part of the Eastern Bloc that were, they were devotees were taken into jail, in Russia, and some temples were destroyed, back in time in the 80s and things like that. I mean, some devotees were tortured. There is this very famous devotee, I can't remember his name, who had this book that it was, a salty bread. You remember it? You came across with it? Ah, Sarvabhauma Prabhu, yes. That he was put into jail and he had to survive basically with eating bread, like that, little salty bread. So, devotees have to go through all these ordeals. But if you remain faithful that there is divine justice, that Krishna is there, and everything is there for a particular purpose, then we will always succeed, and we become stronger too. So yeah, the demons sometimes may think that yes, I am controlling the situations, and there's no God. I am justice, and I'm the law, I'm everything, I'm the controller and the enjoyer. But, you know, we know as devotees that Krishna is, and no one can can conquer Krishna like that. The only way to conquer Krishna, who is unconquerable, is by the loving devotion of the devotees of his devotees.
Uh, you were touching on the word hair raising for the battle, and there was the other word that was used was astonishing, and the you touched on it in the class, just that there were different weapons that were used, and it's coming up. But it just came to my mind that the usually when you think of persons going into battle, they go with armies. So Banasura had an army, sort of almost like material level, but Lord Shiva was actually coming with the Promethas, who are described as being mystical sages.
Not only the Prometheus, he came with the whole entourage of ghosts and goblins and demons and rakshasas, man-eater thing. I mean, he came with a whole scary group. We hear that. Yeah.
So anyway, one of the thoughts that came to mind was that part of the astonishing part of the battle is that it was mystical weapon against mystical weapon.
Yes, yes.
So
Yeah,
it was
that's part of the excitement, that we hear, especially how you counteract this weapon with that weapon, and these are weapons that are almost like they manifest. It's an arrow, and they manifest into something else. These big tree having so many legged and arms, you know, being, and Krishna counteracts it with that. Is super exciting. And yeah, you can always imagine um, this being nicely depicted by some, we hear it in narrations, but now with technology you can depict this type of activities uh, visually. I mean, hopefully one day we see it like that. There's attempts, that you have in these presentations of the Mahabharata, but it's always quite tacky. You see the arrow, turun, 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 and then sparks, sparks, circles. That is not necessarily, but you can appreciate that is wonderful. Abduta, this thing. All right. Anything else? We can finish here then. Grantarashiman Bhagavatam ki